So I wanted to do a video on the new .NET 6 minimal APIs and what are they and how can we use them in our existing projects. So let's go take a look. So just so that we're all on the same page on what we're talking about with .NET 6 minimal APIs, I wanted to do a quick comparison between that and a .NET 5 version of a web API. So on the left I've got a .NET 5 web API, and on the right I've got a new .NET 6 minimal API project. And straight away from the solution you can see there's a few differences. So if we dive in at the start and open up the program CS, you can see on the left is our classic program CS with our main method and creating our host builder that eventually then tells it to use our startup class. Whereas on the right hand side we're creating the builder inside our program CS, but we're actually building that, and then we carry on and we can register our services in here, and we can go on and do all the other stuff that is also done inside of our startup class from our classic .NET 5 version. So you'll notice there is no startup class in the .NET 6 minimal API version. That's missing. You'll also notice that there's no usings in this file. I'm right at the top on line 1 and it starts straight in at the code. There's no usings. So there are some implicit usings that come in to .NET 6 as well to add to this minimalist approach that Microsoft are now taking. So if we go and look at the rest of the program CS, we can see that this is where our minimal API is actually created. So we've got all of our code for our API embedded within our program.cs file. So we've got our class, our weather forecast class, that is the classic API demonstration. Whereas if I come over here, I've got a separate class for that weather forecast over here, and I've got a separate controller for the actual API call. So here you can see there's the summaries that are all embedded inside the controller, and the actual API call itself, the GET request there, corresponds to this map GET here. And other than that, the code is exactly identical. It does exactly the same thing and returns you a weather forecast. So that's all good, and I can see kind of where we're heading with this. But what about if you've got an existing project and you want to add an API to it? So maybe it's an existing MVC application, or maybe it's an existing Razor Pages application. How can we take advantage of this new minimalist approach to APIs to avoid all the need for all these controllers and everything else around it? So let's go take a look at what we need to do to make that happen. Okay, so here we are in Visual Studio, and I've got a template Razor Pages application open against .NET 5. So the first thing that we need to do in order to use our minimal APIs is we definitely need to be on .NET 6. So let's go and upgrade that. And the next place we would go and look if we wanted to add a minimal API is in our startup class, which is the equivalent place to where the minimal APIs configure everything. So all of this inside the configure method, we would expect to be able to go and do something like at map_get and specify our URL for our API as per their example, and then specify an anonymous delegate that gets called, and that should be all we need. So let's go and correct that and put a comma in, and straight away we can see that Visual Studio is complaining, saying that iApplication Builder does not contain a definition for map_get. So we can't literally just plug in minimal APIs. So let's go and have a look at our minimal API solution again and try and understand what's going on here. So where does map get live? Let's go and have a look at the definition of that. So the map get is an extension method against an I endpoint root builder. So how do we get an I endpoint root builder? So let's go back to our class. What's actually being built here? So when we do our build, let's go and have a look at the definition of that. So build returns us a web application, and if we go and look at a web application, we can see that the web application actually implements the I endpoint root builder, which is why we're able to call our map get on it. So we actually need to be getting a web application into our startup class over in our existing solution. So how can we actually go about doing that? So we need to take a step back from here, and we need to come back over to our program CS, and we need to change this so that what we actually get is a web application being injected into our startup class. What we need to do is comment this out for now, and instead of that we need to call a web application create builder, which is exactly the same as our minimal API was doing. Let's add the using in for that. Then we can say that the startup class that we want to use is our startup, and we want to pass in the configuration into that when we create it. So that's calling exactly the same method that's already existing. We then want to call our configure services, and we want to pass in the services collection into that. We can then create our app by doing a builder.build. And we can then call our configure method, passing in that app, which is now a web application, and the app environment is the other, not starter, start up. And finally, we can call our app run. So now what we're actually passing in is a web application into our configure method. So we don't actually need any of this create host builder down here anymore, because we're not actually calling that. But we can move on. So now we can change this to a web application that gets passed in. And now we see that our map get has now lit up, and we've got no errors. And incidentally, if you want to go and check out where all this information lives, there is a URL that I'll put in the description below that basically describes exactly what I've just shown you there about the new hosting model and what you have to do to actually go and change that into what we just did down here. Okay, so now we've got our application. We can now copy the rest of the other sample into here. Okay, so now we've got our method and our API. We can run this up, and if we browse to our weather forecast API URL, you can see that we get our weather forecast back as we would expect. So exactly the same as you get from the demonstration API. So that's all good. We've added in an API, but the problem is that we've now embedded that API into our startup code. So how can we extract that out to make that a little bit more cleaner? Because we obviously don't want all of this clutter. If you have a bunch of APIs in here and you're cluttering all of that into your startup class, that's not really where you want to be going. So let's just go and tidy this up a bit, and let's create a new folder and call that API. Let's add a class, weather forecast API. And we'll make that a static class. And let's start pulling some of this stuff out into this class. So let's get that, pull that into there. And I've got to change that to a static string array so that it doesn't complain at me. So that's that. Then let's copy. Actually, let's create our method that we need to actually run our API. So that's going to return that, and we want get forecast. So that is our method that we're going to call. So now we can take all of this code out of here and put all of that in there, our usings in that we need. Okay, and also the last thing that we need is this internal record as well, so let's get that out of there and put that over here as well. And now over here we can change this to call our get forecast method, and that's it. We've now got one line of code in our startup that calls our API. So that will work perfectly, but we've now nicely extracted away our API method into a separate part of our solution. Again, I can come over here and go to our weather forecast URL and I get my data back. So that's great. But what about an MVC application? So here I've got the MVC template opened exactly as we had with our Razor pages, but there's obviously a bit more going on here with models and views and everything else. But if we just want to add a minimal API, we can do exactly the same thing that we did. So again, we can upgrade it to .NET 6. And I'm going to come over to the program. I'm going to just go back to our program over here and do exactly what we did there. So let's copy that into here. And then let's go and change our startup. So that that does exactly the same. So we can change that to a web app. In there. And then go and add our map get at the end of our method, at the end of our startup. And copy the API across into our solution. Add our usings. Build that, run that up, come over to our weather forecast URL again, and we're all up and running inside an MVC application as well. So you can now choose to opt in to take advantage of minimal APIs when you upgrade your existing applications to .NET 6. Hope you found this useful. If you did, then give me a like and a thumbs up and let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.